issue, we're getting slightly off our flood topic here.
That's
but
okay.
But the other issue of entities, the encounters with entities, anybody who's smoked DMT will know that, as I have, as you have, that will know that you do encounter entities in the DMT state, and they do communicate with us. And there's a lot of parallels with the ETs, or the aliens as they're described in modern UFO abduction accounts. And Rick Strassman, have you ever had him on your show?
You know, Rick got sick. He was supposed to be here a couple of times. We're trying to reschedule it now.
Yeah.
But he had some pretty serious health issues.
I know.
And we had a date scheduled out. But I love that guy. I've had a chance to sit down with him a couple of times and talk to him.
And of course, you presented DMT, the spirit molecule.
Yeah, he's brilliant. And he's so important to me because I remember when I did it, I was so confused. I mean, to me, it was like my first DMT experience changed everything I thought about the world. Yeah. And I immediately didn't give a shit about aliens anymore.
Right.
Like, it was almost instantaneous. Like, before then, I was like, Roswell, they got the ship, man. Yeah. It's in a hangar. But what I encountered doing DMT was so spectacularly alien that the pedestrian concept of something that looks like a person but has a bigger head and large eyes.
And higher tech.
Yeah. I mean, it was as weird and cool as it would be if it was real. It was nothing. I mean, literally not 1/1,000,000th as interesting as what you absolutely can encounter when you do DMT. Like, that's the aliens.
That's the aliens, an utterly alien realm filled with alien intelligences who communicate. And of course, again, the skeptics say, oh, it's all just made up in your brain. But we don't know that. And Rick is open to the possibility that we are dealing with areas of reality that are not normally accessible to our senses, and that become accessible to our senses by retuning the receiver wavelength of the brain, which is what he suggests DMT does. And I think that's very plausible. And at the very least, those who are interested in UFOs and aliens should be also investigating this line of inquiry. Can we use changes in consciousness to understand the majestic complexity of the universe in which we live? And I think the answer is definitely yes. And many of Rick's volunteers, I paraphrase, but they came back with reports that the entities who'd encountered them said, "We are so glad you've discovered this technology. Now we can communicate with you much more easily." You know, it's fascinating. So there's a technology for encountering other intelligences. And against that, this mechanistic, simplistic alien meme that's going around now that they're a bit like us, but they came here in higher tech, it's dull by comparison with that.
It is dull by comparison. If you're interested in anybody, the book is amazing. It's called DMT, the Spirit Molecule. And he has a new book that he's putting out about
DMT and the Spirit and the Soul of Prophecy.
Yeah. And he's just a really, really interesting guy. But his experiments that he did were the first, I think, in many, many decades to get approved by the government.
Correct.
So he did everything above ground. I mean, he was above board. He did,
and because it was government approved, his remit was that he had to find some therapeutic benefit for DMT, and he couldn't actually. But that's not the point.
Yeah.
I'm sure actually there are therapeutic benefits, but that's not the point. The point is, here is a tool for investigating the mystery of consciousness and the mysterious nature of reality. And I mean, fuck me, if we get 5 or 6 volunteers who haven't compared notes, all coming back who've met entities who said, "We're so happy you found this technology."
Yeah.
It's hard to explain that as just to reduce it to brain activity.
Not only that, when we talk about things that are so big and are ignored by mainstream culture, this is one that's just like that. You're talking about an endogenous human chemical that not only is in us, but is in thousands of different plants. Like, I mean, how many different plants contain DMT?
A huge number. Very prosaic ones like peas and, you know.
Well, there's the amazing story.
Acacia.
That's what I was going to say.
The Australian national tree is actually illegal.
Isn't that? But the Jerusalem, the professors from the University of Jerusalem, I believe.
Benny Shannon.
Yeah, where they were talking about, they believe that that's what the story of the burning bush and Moses is.
So that is mimosa with the DMT and Syrian rue with the monoamine oxidase inhibitor. In other words, it's ayahuasca, but a Middle Eastern alternative of it, doing